Hi guys! So today I want to talk about my journey becoming a full-time artist. Right now I work as a graphic designer in-house, but I also run my own business. It's primarily on Etsy, but I also try to sell stuff in person at farmers markets and craft shows, or like art, like really small like art shows and stuff, just kind of like get my art out there. I've also had my stuff in a local store, which I'd like to do more of. I have like illustration work. I have back there is a print that I made and like printmaking. I did ceramics for a little bit, and I'm also working with like a polymer clay currently because I don't have a kiln because those are expensive. Well, painting, I do watercolor and acrylic, and I have gouache paint, which I don't think I've like really ever used. Let me see, I have some different wall hangings that I do that's kind of like just like kind of like a fiber thing. I knit a little bit. I just started doing like embroidery, which is really cool. And sorry, I'm trying to like think of the little things that I do. I make like stickers. I do different types of greeting cards. So I'll do painted ones. Sometimes I'll do more of like a typographic one with kind of like a digital, more of a digital technique to it. I make so many things. I don't know what I have. I think I did take some photography classes, which I don't like doing photography, but I have to for my business. Yeah, so the school that I went to was just like really small, kind of like in the middle of nowhere in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which most people don't know exists. And like they'll get there and like they think it's Canada. From a young age, I was always into doing art. I always like, that was like my favorite thing to do like at school. But I only had art classes in elementary school, which is like you can't learn a lot from that when you're just like whatever, like 5 years old. You're not gonna get a whole lot out of that. And then for some reason we didn't like have those kind of like classes in middle school. And then going into high school, I had to kind of like teach myself how to be an artist and kind of like do like dabble in different things if I wanted to try it, because we didn't have like art classes. All we had was like different types of bands, like a jazz band, or like the orchestra band or whatever. So yeah, so I had to like teach myself how to like just kind of like be an artist, which is like as much as you can expect from someone that's like self-taught. I pretty much like started off by just like drawing pictures that I liked, being like a typical like high school kid that's like an artist. You're like totally like into like bands, and you think all these like things are like so cool. And so I'd always like draw like my favorite like artists and stuff, or I don't know, I'm doing like flowers and stuff too, because I was like, this is pretty cool. Whatever I kind of like just like liked, I just kind of like printed off like a photo of it, and just kind of like went off of that. And I basically like had this like folder and like some pencils that I would just like take like everywhere. I was a pretty good student in high school, and a lot of the classes just kind of like bored me to death. And I was like, yeah, we get it. We read chapter 5. Like, I was like, I'm getting like the same information like from the book as like our teacher like talking about. Like, what's the point of that? Yeah, so I was just like, you know, I just would like bring my drawings and stuff to class and like just kind of like sit there and you know, draw away at them. So yeah, I just kind of like worked with what I had, and it was really straightforward, you know, just kind of you know, practicing like how to draw shapes, like you know, like hand-eye kind of like coordination with drawing. And yeah, for some reason someone told me that I would be a good graphic designer in high school, and you know, I was kind of like asking like, what is that? Which if you don't know, it's basically like branding and like designing logos, or you know, like designing postcards and stuff. It's you know, some kind of like imagery, which it could be like photos or you know, like abstract shapes or whatever, with like some kind of like message with it. You know, like books are like graphic design because someone had to do the cover, and someone had to figure out how you know, the text was gonna fit inside the pages and stuff, and you know, all of that, which sounds really boring. I think one of my things in high school was just kind of like being like such a perfectionist, which I definitely like am a perfectionist. So I kind of like was a little bit like drawn to that, and I knew like I really like inside I knew like my PowerPoints didn't look as bad as like other people's PowerPoints, because you know, they have like this like text that's like across the page, but it's like over like some picture and you can't even read any of it. And then you have to like sit there and listen to them talk. But I always felt like my PowerPoints like looked better, and like you know, I just kind of like felt like I was like, this is like sort of artsy, which I didn't really exactly know like how artsy I could be at the time. Like I wasn't really sure if I was like exactly like a creative person per se, because all I had been doing at the time was just kind of drawing from other like photos and stuff. And I was like, well, I think I could do this. You know, you kind of like find a photo that's you know, kind of like conveying like this message, and you know, kind of like get a font or whatever, and you put it on there. And I was like, I think I could do this. And I, you know, like once I knew what it was, I started kind of like recognizing it more. Someone on my Tumblr at the time was definitely a graphic designer. Maybe not someone that's like exactly like professional, but I was like, hey, like, yeah. And you know, it was like some like band thing. They had like the, you know, like the lyrics with this photo. I was like, yeah, this is like really cool. Like I like that. And I was super like, I was really into my bands then too. And I think one of the pushes for me to become a graphic designer was to you know, kind of like work towards this like career to make album artwork, which then and still today I collect CDs and stuff of my favorite artists, and I think they're really cool. Which today people don't. Today people don't collect CDs really. It's like you either don't or you like get vinyl. It's like, I don't know. But I love CDs because of the like booklet on the inside. Some of those are like really different, and I like how they're composed, especially in this way of like either like really hardcore fans are looking at them, or from a perspective that nobody's gonna look at them. Like you can tell when you look at them, and I think that's like really interesting. And they're all different because obviously they're made by different people, but so it's like, so maybe I can't be in a band, but maybe I could kind of like get into that like creative world like in this way. So that was one of my big pushes to become a graphic designer. And I also really like the idea of like, you know, like album artwork. It's not just on the album. Like they, like it's on like all of, you know, the band's like promotional materials. It's on social media. It's on billboards. It's like, I've always just like been drawn to making art. I don't know why. I think it's just like something that I think is like really cool, and I want to do it myself, and kind of like I like having something where I can like show people and be like, hey, look at this thing that I made, and they'll be like, oh yeah, or they'll be like, yeah, that's cool, and it's like I don't know. So after high school, I went to college for graphic design. I had kind of like a vague idea of what it was, but I had a very vague idea of like any art form exactly, like, you know, like how you make money doing it, what you can do in different fields. Like it was just like a really new thing for me. So I was like, well, I think I could do this thing. I think I could be a designer. I went for a Bachelor of Fine Arts, which does not have a minor. So that means you take more art classes and just kind of, I don't know, just kind of like expand your knowledge of art, and that's the like different techniques, and for like each medium you think differently about it. So I took different classes in like painting, drawing, illustration, photography, computer art, which might go by different names. It's a really dumb name. And you know, like all of those like foundation classes and stuff, and like art history and whatnot. But it really got me kind of like dabbling into different art mediums, and I think after a while, like by the time I graduated, I had taken different classes and really kind of like got used to this idea of like kind of like starting over and experimenting, you know, with, you know, like whatever I was working with. But yeah, so I took all these classes, and kind of like nearing the end of college, I started my business, Yes Hello It's Me Designs, basically as a way for me to sell my artwork that I had left over from class. I had a lot of like paintings and a lot of like printmaking work and stuff, and basically just kind of like a lot of ideas floating around too, that I really wanted to like continue to like build off of. And one of the things is I was in my illustration class, and I was kind of like sketching out this like thing because I was like really bored. I think our teacher like trying to bore us to death. And then like spark like creativity out of like nothing. I don't know. So I was just kind of like drawing these like sharks and stuff, and he came by and he was like, is that like a logo or something? I have it right here. He's like, is that like a logo or something? Which I also have like these peppers in there too, because I was like really bored. And he's like, is that like a logo? I was like, no. He's like, is that like anything real, or like what is that? And I was like, it's not really yet, but it's definitely gonna be a thing. And from there I took my idea, and I recreated it in Illustrator so I could make it a vector and make stickers out of it, which after that I also kind of like put it on like Threadless and like apply it to like other things like t-shirts and stuff. And that was really like one of the driving forces too in like making like my business to sell my work, because like some of my friends and stuff saw them, and they're like, oh, like this is really cool, and they like bought like a bunch of my stickers and stuff. So then I got them like professionally printed, and actually like created like the business on Etsy. So that's how that started. And it really didn't like do too much for a long time. I was like one of those people that's like, you know, you throw it up on Etsy and then you like just like think that people are gonna like find it, which is not how that works. So yeah, so I ended up graduating with my degree in graphic design. I'm not sure exactly why, but it took me a long time to actually get a job. I had to move away from my college town and go back to my hometown to live with my parents, just because, you know, it's just like cheaper than like having to like pay for rent, basically, like for no reason. So yeah, so during that time, I went to my first like farmers market to sell my artwork, which was like really like it was just like a really cool thing. I met a couple like other younger artists. They're just kind of like a lot like me. You know, one of them was kind of like an illustrator, but she kind of like painted things, especially like greeting cards and stuff. And it's just like a really cool experience, like selling my art to people, like in person. That was just like a really different thing, and but it was like a really cool experience, like meeting people and you know, talking to people about your artwork and stuff. And a lot of the stuff I had was like really obscure, especially like this thing in the back. That's like a collagraph, which no one knows what that is. So, which was a really good topic to start talking to people like in person with, you know, because you'd be like, you know, like, do you know what that means? And you know, kind of like go into the details of like how it's made, and actually like doing that like in person got me a couple of sales with some of the things like that thing, and my other like handmade prints that I made, like some were like screen prints and stuff. And talking about the process and like how it's made really does make people more interested, and I think it brings more of a story for them for when they put it in their house, and like, you know, like people ask them about it. It has like a story behind it. I think people really like that. It makes it a lot more interesting. But yeah, so that's when I like really got like into like this idea of like actually making like this kind of like Etsy business, like a real business. And I started like making like business cards and I don't know, kind of like some like promotional stickers and stuff. And I'm not sure exactly when. That might have been around like when I started my business Instagram, and really trying to like promote myself on there and lead people to my Etsy. And at some point, I think it was a little bit later than that, I also kind of like started like a Pinterest and stuff to also like kind of like filter in my own artwork with the like different things that I was pinning. That was kind of like more like on brand with what I had. Things for like prints and paintings, or like you know, like ceramic items and stuff. So it was about a year after I graduated college that I finally was chosen for a graphic design job, which is like the first like substantial one. I was offered a job in my college town to work at the newspaper, but kind of like after going in, interviewing, and like looking at the place and then like thinking about it, I really like decided that that's not really what I wanted to do, because like nobody looks at the newspaper, and if they do, like it's just gonna be like clip art stuff, you know, like clip art, and it's like black and white, and it like nobody cares about it, and that's not really like the kind of work that I wanted to do. So I don't think it paid very well either. I'm not really sure if it really would have covered my rent. I might have had to have had like 2 jobs or something too. So yeah, like the first like actual like decent paying job that I got put me here in Lincoln, Nebraska, which was a very random place. But yeah, I had a lot of trouble trying to find a job. I don't know if it was just because I was just like too far away for a lot of places to do an in-person interview, and I don't know, maybe they just didn't really like think a Skype interview was good enough. I don't know, I'm not really sure, but this place didn't care. So yeah, this is where I am now. I've been here for a year and a half, I think, working at the same place, and it's really different, kind of a place from like where I'm from in Michigan, so it's kind of been something I get used to. So it's been really nice, you know, being in a more substantial sized town. So there's like a pretty good sized farmers market here, and it's only about like an hour away from Omaha, which is also really big, and has also like more things art wise that you can kind of like be like get into, like Hutchfest. That was like it's like a really big like kind of like art festival, but it's like also for like just kind of like general makers and crafters and artisans and stuff. But it was really cool. People come like states away to be part of it and sell their stuff, and there's like 300 or something vendors there. It was just like really cool. It was a really cool scene to be a part of, and I sold a lot of stuff there, which is just like really, it was just like really exciting, and just like a really good time. And yeah, so that's where I am currently with my business, and what I'm doing, and my job. I'm working towards going full-time with my like just kind of being my own boss and running my business, and you know, just kind of like tired of you know, like the job search of people saying like you're not good enough, but you know, they're not telling you that. They just don't hire you. I just kind of like want to be my own boss, and make those, you know, make the decisions for myself, you know, how much I actually get paid, and then like, you know, how much I put into my business, and I don't know, I just kind of like that idea a lot more, than relying on someone else to like decide like how much I get paid, especially like, yeah, I don't want to get into that. I don't get paid a whole lot, really, which really stinks, because it took me over a year to get this job, and some of you probably are wondering, like, should I become a graphic designer? I'm like, I don't know. I think the market's really saturated. Even if you are like really good, it's hard to get a job. But I don't know. I'm not sure if that's just like how art is. Maybe just like all art is kind of like that. You know, you're always, I mean, there are tons of people there, and everybody's kind of like fighting for, you know, attention, and fighting for the sale. But this is something that I knew I wanted to do basically since I was a kid, and I can't let go of it. You know, there's like no way I could just like have gone to school to be like, I don't know, like a teacher. I definitely like, I don't know, like this is what I'm passionate in. So that's where I am right now. I'm hoping that my YouTube channel can get more of my work out there, and I'd also like to give back to the art community and try to help people that are kind of like maybe like more early on in their art career, or maybe like considering it, but don't really know where to start. there's a lot that I've learned, especially just like in the couple years, you know, that I've like actually like been making art professionally, and stuff I've learned from college. There's a lot of work that goes into like, you know, like business sides and like just kind of like art making in general that I really want to share with people. So yeah, you can find my work. I will link my Etsy and Instagrams. You can follow my business or me personally. My personal one has more like in progress type stuff, like stuff I'm currently working on, whereas like my business one has more of the polished like photos and stuff. And sometimes it doesn't have the same things if it doesn't exactly match like my target market. Yeah, and then I'm also on Patreon. I just started that, so I probably don't have like anybody on there. But yeah, I'm really hoping to get you know, some people to check out the work that I do. But yeah, so like this video, subscribe. I don't know when my next video will come out. There will probably be more. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for watching.